All the cyclists who are cycling around the world, like quite a few people in Europe and America do it. None of them are Fauji's. They are just simple people who had no experience. So again, because many people think that it is because of it I am doing, and they already form a kind of opinion in their mind that they can't do it. Everyone can do it. It is for everyone. It has nothing to do with being a Fauji or not being a Fauji. In fact, Faujis just don't do it. At the end of the day, it is our imagination that is holding us back. If we can't imagine great things, we can't do great things. And we should not always be looking for precedence. Sometimes initial days are make or break, because if you are really bad experience, then you need to be very motivated to carry on, because you think, oh fuck, I'm as such, I'm not fit, I'm not able to travel, and with all these hardships. But I mean, what a wonderful country, what beautiful scenery, and what lovely people. I mean, it was sheer pleasure cycling New Zealand. So anyone who asks me, I mean, you must go to New Zealand, you must cycle across Australia.
I am Venki, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers, and it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenki on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. In this episode, I talk to Major Sushant Singh. Major Sushant is a veteran of the Indian Army's elite special forces. He is an adventurer and an explorer on the bike. Back in 2017, he set out on an expedition to cycle every continent and climb the highest peak of every continent and to reach the lowest latitudes of landmass. So far, he has toured on his bicycle across New Zealand, Australia, and Africa, along with conquering the highest peaks there. In this episode, he shares the amazing experiences from his bike tours. From getting lost in an African jungle for days to traversing through the Australian wilderness in 50 plus degrees heat, it was fascinating to listen to his amazing experiences. He is about to leave for an expedition from Kanyakumari to Katmandu and aims to scale Mount Everest at the end of it. You can follow along his journey using the links in the show notes. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, Major Sushant. Welcome to the Working Athlete podcast.
Thank you, Venki. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So, a good friend of mine, and I think an ex-colleague or your junior, Major Vinayak, has put us in touch. I'm glad that he did, because you have a fascinating story and you are doing some crazy expeditions on cycle. I would like to listen more of that from you. Uh, Can you briefly introduce yourself and what this expedition is all about?
Yeah, so I was in the special forces earlier,
Mm.
and I left army in 2011. I mean, I served for about 12 years. So I thought after that I should be doing few other things in life, which always fascinated me. Since I was a kid, I had a lot of dreams. But the thing is that as we grow up, the dreams die, it's natural death, and then we become busy with the life and the drudgery that the regular life is. But somehow those dreams kept alive, and then I really wanted to travel and do martial arts. And I used to read a lot of Flash Gordon and Phantom and Garth, and I could never get over those comicses and the story that they portrayed, especially Flash Gordon and Phantom. So I always dreamt of moving to such wild places and meeting such different culture, different people, and different philosophies. It always enticed me. I still remember all those comics by heart. So somehow, and I had a share of that adventure when I was in special forces. But after 12 years, you have done most of the things that you do, all the operations and stuff like that. It is more of a similar thing, and what you are aspiring is just going high in the ladder of forge. And that never really fascinated me. So after 12 years, I left Forge, and then I had no plans. I mean, I just left like that. And many people plan that, okay, you have to line up your next job because all that, survival and whatever. So it never,
Right.
I was never into that. But luckily, one of my friends was in Dubai and he was in an aviation firm, and he asked whether you would like to come to Sudan, and they were running operations there. They wanted me there as a country head. There were a few helicopters and about 5, 6 helicopters and a couple of aircrafts flying. So, and they were flying for United Nations. So I said, no, fantastic, nothing like it.
Yeah.
So I went to Sudan, and then I stayed there for a year. And then I again started questioning, if the salary was very, very handsome and paid in US dollars and absolutely tax free. But then again, that again dilemma came into being because I thought that I was, it's getting the same monotony, same job. This is not what I quit Forge for. And then unfortunately or fortunately, I used to watch a lot of martial arts movies, and then that thing was, the idea was there. Okay, that bloody Bruce Lee and Jet Li and the kind of life the Shaolin monks lead. And I watched the episode of the somehow things get stuck in your mind. When I was very, very young, I told this in an earlier podcast as well. I saw that one episode. There was a program called Himgiri Ka Veer when
Huh.
we were very young.
Huh.
When I was in sixth or seventh class, TV had just come in, and there used to be big bloody antennas, and you keep on moving, and somehow there's some
Right.
blurry picture will come on the TV. And I saw that just one episode of Himgiri Ka Veer, and there was this Shaolin or Chinese monk who was just roaming around in the forest all alone, just a portly on his back with few clothes and his sword. And he meets some bloody bad guys on the way, and he just kills them or thrashes them. Then a girl fall in love with him in a sarai or a inn, and then he says, oh, this life is not for me. I'll march ahead and stuff like that. And I was really, really fascinated. And so then again the question came whether I want to keep on earning this good money that I am getting, or really want to pursue my dreams. So I just worked there for 9 months, and I went to. I mean, it's a big story, but then we have other stories to cover.
Hmm.
So, so I left the job just after 9 months, and then me and my wife, we went to China for 1 year to learn martial arts.
Wow.
Yeah, and we even went to Shaolin Temple and so all those places which are shown in all the movies. And then once I came back, I was really wondering what to do because I never wanted to do a corporate job. I mean, it was nothing wrong with that, but I'm just not made for it. But
Right.
then one of my friends said that why don't you do GMAT or something like that? I was always interested in doing something good. I was also part of the Indian Army's mountaineering team, so I climbed quite a few 7,000-meter peaks.
Hmm.
And those expeditions and my life in army took me to places where people do not know that you press something and light will come on. Still
Right.
in 2014 there are still such places in the remote Arunachal and various other communities. So I really wanted to do something for them, and then my friend said, you do GMAT, do some nice MBA, and then you can get into renewable energy and blah blah blah. And and I never studied. I always wanted to go to NDA. So when I did my 12th in 1994.
Hmm.
So at that time, The NDA syllabus was only till 10th class.
Right.
So I stopped studying after 10th class. I was a topper till 10th.
Hmm.
But in 11th and 12th, I did not study. I said, why should I study?
Right.
I mean, this is useless for me. I don't have to get into engineering or medical or any other place. So I just stopped studying. Anyway, so in 12th, I barely got first division. And when I gave GMAT, I scored, 690 or something.
Hmm.
And which is a reasonable score, I think. And I thought with my background, I will get into any, Harvard would be just vying to get me, and, MIT Sloan and, London Business School and all. So I thought I just sent my application there. And just as a backup, I said, okay, I sent to IIM Ahmedabad and ISB as well.
Right.
Okay, just in case if I have to. The call came from nowhere. Because then your old deeds come into when they check your academic record, you have to send the transcripts. So in 12th, I had 67% marks, and in India, I was just not studying. Why should I study? I had to go to infantry, I had to go to special forces. So a degree does not matter. I mean, we get a BA and BSc degree from India. So I was just lazing around as far as academics was concerned. I just passed with a CGP of 5 or something. So they look into your background and all these things.
Right.
So I just waited for a year and nothing happened. I thought, what the fuck, man? I was dreaming of something else, but in the hindsight, it was the best thing that could have happened. And then one of my friend was in, solar energy field. He was my colleague in army. And so he said, why don't you join me? We can do something interesting. And by that time, by 2014, most of my course mates were colonels and, commanding the battalions. And me being in special forces, we were always interacting at a very higher echelon. So the generals I knew were, corps commanders and
Right.
major generals and lieutenant generals, I knew them. So what I thought was that I will start a project called Lighting Himalayas, which was, again, because I saw such people who had no access to electricity and they are still living a very primitive life. So my aim was to, provide solar solution to all these remote tribal Himalayan communities and also to army. And I thought with the armies being such a huge, army had such a huge potential because they required solar light. Because still when the bunkers which are along the LC, where we are very close to the Pakistani side, you can't have generator connection there because it makes a lot of noise.
Nice.
So they were still using those rum bottles and put a batti in and kerosene and lighting that. So,
Yeah.
those primitive kind of things, which was absolutely in a bunker, in a closed space, the fumes of kerosene is neither healthy nor the light is very depressing. So the lights were very portable. They were imported lights, and since all my course mates were commanding, so I had very easy access. I used to go and visit them, and also I had a dream that when my course mates are getting screwed with their command, I would love to have a beer in their office. So most of the time I was chilling in their office having chilled beer when they were getting reporting calls and someone bullshitting them and stuff like that, and I was just enjoying my good life.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I started from I shifted to Gurgaon for I live in Bhopal, but for this thing we shifted to me and my wife shifted to Gurgaon, and I used to fill up I bought a vehicle, converted into a camper van. I bought an SUV, उसकी सीटें वीटें हटाई, put a bed, put a table, and it was hollow from inside, and then I used to just fill hundreds of solar lights. I had a big carrier on which I had big solar lights, and then I just used to travel, and so from all along LC, from starting from Jammu, going up to Poonch, and from there to Suranport, crossing the Mughal Road, going into Kashmir Valley to Shupanya, and then to Kupwara, Tangdhar. From there to Sonmarg, cross over to Zozila, went to Kargil, Dras, Ladakh, up to Siachen. And from there I went all the way to Arunachal, where the road ends.
Right.
There's a place called Kibitu and Bumla, from where the Chinese invasion came. So in 2 years, I drove about 55,000 kilometers.
Wow.
So I was always on the road. I was sleeping in my vehicle, cooking my own food. If I was in a jungle, I used to park my vehicle, sleep. If it was some, like Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, I used to sleep at a petrol station in my own car. So it was a great life, but I have absolutely no financial sense. I mean, very, very bad with it. And logistics was a big, big issue. So after some time, the money vanished. As such, I did not have much. So I was left with a minuscule amount in my bank account, and then I thought, shit, now I'm in a very, very bad place, and now I will have to, do some job to earn money. And then I came to Mumbai, in a company looking after security, which most of the Fauji's do, and it was absolute bullshit of a job, extremely. The people with no motivation, they were looking forward to nothing in life, and what they were thinking is that they are doing some great shit, which actually was nothing. And I was stuck there. I mean, I thought even if I have to stay on, in a bloody 1 BHK apartment in some shitty place, I will do that, but I will not do this job. But coming to Bombay was a life-changing experience because I never liked Mumbai. Frankly, my wife is an artist, so she had quite a few shows in Jahangir Art Gallery and rest of the galleries. But I never used to come to Mumbai because that image was stuck in the mind, which is shown in the movie. All slums, garibi, maramari, gadar, metro. The locals are full of people dying, and I said I am not gonna go to Mumbai because I always lived in mountains and open spaces, and all my life, all my professional life as well, I never came to a peace station. In the sense, I never came to the plains. So I went to Kashmir, then came back to our permanent station, which was again in the mountains, or I went to the northeast. So I've never ever stayed in the cities. So, but then the great thing about Mumbai is the people who live there. And I just fell in love with Mumbai, and so I had a very severe back trouble because of all the things that I was doing, carrying 30 kgs backpack and, jumping out of the aircraft. So that kind of, so my back was badly. And then I traveled in XUV for about 50,000 kilometers in 2 years. So I had stopped running, and running was my passion. I used to love running. Then one of these days I had to go early for some thing, and at 6 o'clock I left, and then I saw the roads of Mumbai were full of bloody runners. So many people running on the roads, and I thought, shit, man, I mean, these guys, normal household people, and they have to do everything. They are still finding time, and a lot of women as well. And I am here giving excuses that, so though I have been at the peak of my physical and I could do a lot of things what they were doing, but then the inspiration comes from a very, very normal man as well, who is doing extraordinary things in spite of all the commitments that he has. Then I joined a running club, and whomsoever I meet nowadays, I said all those people suffering from depression and bullshit, I first ask them, do you do any physical thing? If you're not into running, if you're not into cycling, if you're not into yoga, don't give this damn excuse of depression because you're doing nothing to get out of it. We are basically animals, and we need to run whatever scientific thing, dopamine, endorphin, or whatever is released, If we are not doing that, of course we will be, because primarily we were hunter gatherers. We loved open spaces. We used to run. We used to hunt. We are supposed to be a very, very physical species. So anyhow, then I started running. I joined a club, and now whomsoever I meet, who gives me all these bullshit things, I just tell them to join a fucking running club or a cycling group, and start doing something. And after 3 months, revisit whether you are in depression or not.
When was this? Which year was this when you joined the running club?
And this was 2016, I think. So I ran a few marathons because then I got into the groove pretty soon, and then ran a few marathons, and then I had this big showdown in my company with everyone. I was a misfit primarily. It is not their fault. Not my fault. The wrong guy at the wrong place. So, but then I started thinking what next to do in my life. And at that time, this idea was always there when I was traveling. Earlier, the thing was that there was no internet when we were till in our 30s. So when I had gone on an expedition, I had climbed a peak, Mount Known. It is the highest peak in Zanskar Valley. It is 7,200 meters high. So it was an army expedition, and I came down early to the base camp to arrange for vehicles for the expedition to go back and arrange for rest of the logistics. And then I was alone, a couple of more guys who were cooking food in a tent, and then I was sitting outside, the sun had set, and lovely bloody evening. And then I saw in the distance a bloody cyclist coming. It was 2004. And at that time, now they have made a road from Kargil to Padman Valley. Earlier, which is a recent development, earlier it was a very, very bad dirt track. And a high altitude dirt track. Even when we are coming from our gypsies, we are thinking of what kind of a road is this? And I saw a bloody cyclist, and with a small trailer he was carrying, and he came and he asked whether I can camp. I said, yeah, most welcome to camp. And then I got chatting, and it was 2004. I had no bloody idea that cycle, though we only used to go to school.
Right.
That was the utmost limit of using a cycle.
Yeah.
And then I asked, what are you doing? He said that I'm from Germany and I'm doing I'm still in the university. So I said, why are you cycling? From where are you cycling? He said that I started cycling from Burma. No, what?
Burma.
Burma. And then he said, yes, I Burma, and then I entered India and through Calcutta, cycled along Ganga, and then blah blah blah, and went to Ladakh, and then he was ending his trip in Padum. I was shocked. I mean, how can someone do that? And then he took out his tent and started cooking his own food and slept, and early morning he fucked off. I said, fantastic, yeah. How can he do this? And that somehow ignited a spark in me that okay, this kind of thing can also be done, but there was no internet. You can't do any research.
Yeah.
Nowadays people cannot imagine how tough or different the life was. Not tough, it was a great life, because even if you want to find out something, there was just no scope. There were no public libraries.
The access wasn't as
there was
easy
no
as now.
there was no access. It is not about whether it was easy or difficult. If you're staying in a big city like Bangalore, maybe there are good public libraries or university libraries which you can access. But in Bhopal and even in Army, I mean, we were in a very remote location. There were no books to be read or things to find out.
Right.
So
But that was the seed.
yeah, that was the seed.
Hmm.
That time I came to know that again, I mean, it was a seed, and quite a few people also met him, other Faujis. But then, it is not that everyone gets impressed. It is
Exactly.
when the seed is thrown in fertile land, then only it will,
Absolutely.
grow.
Yeah.
So, and we are most of the time we are whom we appreciate or what we want to do is a reflection of what our inclinations are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we meet a lot of people, but it's not that we are impressed by everyone. And so anyhow, so when I was getting disgusted in the offices, I mean, my biggest, fear was to sit on those bloody cubicles which are there. And full respect to those who sit, but it is not for me. But that is, if there is a nightmare or something, it is that.
Yeah.
It looks like a poultry farm to me, human poultry farm. But absolutely no disrespect. I mean, that is for me.
Yeah.
People who are working hard, they should work hard.
Yeah.
But and then I was sitting in that damn cubicle, man,
Yeah.
and with nothing to do. I mean, so I just used to just put my attendance, and there was a chai tapri outside. It was a big campus, a lot of shady trees, and chai tapri was under a tree, and I used to just sit there and read. My only indulgence is books. I read a lot, and I have a huge library, about 5 to 6 lakh worth of books I have. And then I read a book by what was his name? I think it was Ed Humphrey.
Hmm.
So that idea again came back to my mind that it was just an idea, because I like to indulge in such wild fantasies. How about rafting on Nile, from Egypt to the origin of the Nile, and walking along Ganga, or traversing. That is one of the things that I would love to do. Traversing from Kedarnath to Badrinath. There used to be an old route, and it is such a fascinating thing. Eric Shipton did it long time ago. And then this idea came, and because I had nothing to do, so I thought of cycling around the world.
Hmm.
And then just to while away my time, because it is just fantasy. So to while away my time, I started seeing the maps. So I thought okay, so I will start from New Zealand. So I just started seeing New Zealand, that I will start from Christchurch, go to Dunedin, go down to Queenstown. और हमने तो ये नाम तभी सुने थे because there used to be matches in Dunedin, Auckland,
Right.
cricket matches, Christchurch.
Yeah.
That's the only time we heard of these names. And when I started seeing those names, and then from names I used to, Christchurch, then I used to see what is there in Christchurch. And now there are 360 cameras also. If you zoom in, and then I used to see the route, and then I got bloody hooked. This is what I used to do. Then Australia, and then Southeast Asia, and then South America is so amazing. Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, and all those places. And I was just busying myself with maps, and I have always been fascinated by maps since I was a kid. And when I was in army, then there were a huge lot of maps, and I always used to look at the glaciers and the rivers from how a trail going up the mountains and stuff like that, and I always fascinated. And then I started noting down, just as an exercise, because I had nothing to do. Okay, how much I can cycle, and I never cycled after school. But just okay, how much time it will take, what will be the approximate cost, and blah blah blah. But then somehow, I was about to my situation was very bad. And I was disgusted. They were disgusted, and both the parties wanted to leave the campus. So I knew I will be out of this place. And in the meantime, I got an offer from National Geographic for a documentary, for a series called Extreme India, and I thought, fantastic, man. But somehow that thing got fizzled out, and I was pissed off. I thought that, wow, man, from this bad job to straightway to be an anchor in a Nat Geo series, and but then this idea became even more firmer that now I have to do something that I really want to do, and so I made a plan that, and since I was a mountaineer, I also decided to club climbing all the 7 summits or all the 6 summits with my cycling. Now, this is something that has never been done. There are very few things which have never been attempted. Everyone has done everything,
Right.
It's very difficult to.
Ridden all around the world.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that, yeah.
Few people have, done horseback riding also half across the world and stuff like that. They have rafted all the rivers, they have climbed all the mountains. So there is really absolutely nothing left. So come up with such an original idea that there is something that no one has ever done. I thought, fantastic, man. I mean, sponsorship is no bloody trouble. I will easily just get sponsorship. And so I made a fantastic brochure. Few of my friends pitched in, good people of Mumbai, and everything done for free, which was phenomenal. I designed a very beautiful brochure and sent it to everyone, to Nandan Nilekani, to Anand Mahindra, to Ratan Tata. You just name everyone I send. Shah Rukh Khan, Akshay Kumar, Salman Khan, Sachin Tendulkar, Dhoni. किसी के दिल में तो कुछ होगा साला. If not the movie stars, then the cricketers, then the industrialists, at least someone would be interested. But the only reply I got was from Ratan Tata. I mean, which must be a procedural thing that his office must have seen, and they sent a reply that all the best and really excited for this project. But I will forward it to the concerned department, and they will take decide on it. And no decision was ever taken. But that was the only thing I got back. Otherwise, just zilch, nothing, no sponsorship. And now what to do, man? I mean, it was a very, very conservative estimate which I had put on the paper for such a huge expedition. It was just 1 crore. Out of that, 40 lakh was just for Everest. So for 3 years of cycling, for all the visas and travel, for all the stays, for almost 1,000 days, it was just all the air travel included 1 crore. I mean, 60 lakh if you remove the Everest.
Right.
Which was absolutely nothing. It was peanuts because I never wanted to splurge or indulge, but then I got nothing. But anyways, I had to go, and now there are a lot of stories. I was refused Australian and New Zealand visa because I had no property. So I sold off my house, sold off my cars,
Wow.
and to fund this thing. And but when I applied for visa, now they look at your bank balance and they look at your, first of all, pay slips.
Right.
There was no bloody pay slip. Then they asked for immovable property. There was no property, so they refused my visa. और जो हमारे भाई लोग illegally Australia, New Zealand में बैठे हुए हैं, because of their thing, we don't get visa.
Right.
So now the expedition ended before it could begin. I sold off my house and everything, and I had the money, but I was not getting the visa. And I asked my travel agent, and there has to be some way out. I mean, how can they say no, sir? What can I do? They have rejected the application. I can only send the application. I can't go and seek interview.
Right.
So I said, no, this is not the way. So what I did was I wrote a 3-page letter to the New Zealand High Commissioner and to the Australian High Commissioner, sending the brochure along, and a very sentimental kind of a letter that I am on this Guinness World Record expedition and blah, blah, blah. And I have no intent to, settle down there illegally. I really love my wife. I've been married for 20 years and some shit like that, and a very emotional dialogue. And that after the completion of my visa condition, I will be heading back to India to continue my expedition. And that's a soldier's word.
Yeah.
But now that is the difference between them and, us as well.
Right.
I got a call from their office.
Wow.
From the office of the New Zealand High Commissioner, I got a call, and then they asked everything. What is my expedition? How long? What are you planning to do? And I said, this is what I'm planning to cycle North and South Island. And they said, will 60 days be enough? I said, yeah, absolutely fine. So he said, okay, then rather than 3 months, we will give you 60 days. I said, fantastic. And on my New Zealand visa, it is written that the visa has been granted to Major Sushant Singh for his Guinness record expedition to circumnavigate around the world and climb highest peak on every continent. It is written on my bloody visa.
Right.
And the same thing happened in Australia. I got a call from Australian High Commissioner office, and then my visa was approved the very next day. I mean, phenomenal. I mean, otherwise, what do they have to do? I mean, there are thousands of applications coming for visa.
Right.
And when I landed in New Zealand, when the lady at the immigration read that visa, and she saw a strange visa, she was so damn happy. You know, when welcome to New Zealand, this is fantastic. And I landed in Auckland and I had a connecting flight for Christchurch, and it was just a very short time in between. Then she asked another lady, just go along with this guy, get his cycle, get this thing done. And because there was the airport was different, it was about a kilometer, and then you have to carry everything. And there was no shuttle bus, unlike India. And that she came with me, got all the clearances done, and took me to another airport, the domestic airport, from where to board the flight for Christchurch.
Amazing.
I mean, so yeah, that is the story. And then I started off. Yeah.
Nice. So this to kind of set the context, your goal is to ride in every continent and scale the highest peak in each continent.
Yeah.
Along with riding
Yeah.
this. Okay, so that you started off this with riding in New Zealand.
Yeah, and also I am touching the lowest landmass. There are three things.
Right.
So these are the two things that I will cycle every continent. If the length is long, I will cycle the length. If the breadth is more, I will cycle the breadth. Like Australia is broad.
Right.
So I cycle the breadth of Australia, climb the highest peak, and touch the lowest latitude of landmass.
Right.
Beyond which there is just Antarctica. So there are three such points.
Right.
Bluff in New Zealand, Cape Agulhas in Africa, and Ushuaia in Argentina. So beyond these 3 points, it is just Antarctic Ocean. So
Right.
I'm covering that as well.
Amazing. So let us talk about your journey in New Zealand. How how many days did it take? What are the memories from it? And all before that, let us talk about your cycle and the setup. What were you carrying? If someone is like looking to do a self-sustaining tour like this, what do they keep in mind?
So I saw a few of your podcasts, because I always do a little research. So the thing is that I may say a few things which people may find offensive. So please don't mind.
That's fine.
It is just my experience. Okay, so the best thing I did, and please don't take offense, is that I did not join. I was never part of any cycling group.
Right.
So the thing is, first of all, I will tell the nice thing.
Yeah.
So what I did was I had absolutely no idea of cycling. After 12th, I did not pick up a cycle, and the distance of my school from my home was about 8 kilometers, and that's what I used to cycle. In NDA, we had cycles, but that was very Khatara Atlas Doodh wali cycle,
Right.
which was always, it was always on our head rather than, as a junior, you can't ride your bike. So we never used to take our cycle because the seniors will always ask us to lift it over our head and start marching. So that cycling is no bloody cycling. So I had no idea what a good cycle. I thought all cycles are same, man, same bloody cassettes, same thing, same gears. What the great did. So what I did was I bought a super bekar cycle for 13,000 rupees. I will not name, otherwise they will take offense. And it was not even of my size. It was slightly smaller. I thought that when I'm not cycling, my wife will cycle.
Right.
So I bought that super fakal cycle for 13,000 rupees and I started cycling. So I was in Thane at that time. I left my job, but I still had the accommodation. I was staying for 1 month, and then I thought I must start some practice, man, because this is a huge undertaking.
Right.
And then I started cycling. So I went to cycle to Yeur Hills. And so there was this guy who came, his name was Aditya. And then he said, oh, okay, you come over here, fantastic. You climbed Yeur in one go and stuff like that. And okay, they had a bike shop where the road ends and there's a tribal area. It's a reserved forest. And then he took us on a trail and cycled. And then he asked me, so what are you doing? I said that I told him about myself and said I had just left my job and this is what I'm planning to, what we just said. It was really fantastic, man. This is really great. Well, what cycle are you using? This is not even a proper cycle. What is this? I said, and he used to even carry magnet in his backpack. He always had a backpack with all the spares and very committed cyclist, motivating everyone to join. A fantastic guy. whomsoever used to meet on, he always used to chat with someone. Okay, and he and his friend Mayuresh, I'm naming them because I mean such people should be promoted.
Right.
They always used to ask people to cycle and to run, and they started off with a shack at the end of the road with very high-end cycles, Cube, Cannondale, all the major brands, very small shop, and now they have a big shop, and because of them, a lot of people have started cycling. Commendable thing that they have done. So he said, I said, this is. So he took out the magnet, put it. It was pure bloody loha. He said, "You will be able to manage it." No, I will do it. So, okay, we went cycling 2-3 days, and then after a few days, he said, "Okay, come to the workshop." And there was a brand new cycle there, and I did not know any other brands, nothing. I only knew Atlas and BSA.
Right.
That's all, and Hero. So there was this Cannondale Trail 5. He said, okay, give it a try. Man, this is very smooth, man. This is fantastic.
Right.
Well, this is for you. Take it.
Yeah.
I take it means, he said, well, take it for your expedition because I cannot do what I got it for myself, but I cannot do what you are doing. So I really want you to take this cycle.
Wow.
And I said, take it is all right, but how much it is? He said, it is for about 60,000-70,000. He said, I said, I don't have this kind of money. I mean, I was broke. I was just saving money for my expedition. Bola, I'm not asking you for money. You just take it.
That's amazing.
I mean, hats off to him, yaar. I mean, I will not do this kind of things.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And he's not a rich man. Very, very, he himself has left his job. He's doing some organic farming somewhere in Bangalore, and he comes to Mumbai. His wife is working, and that's how he's sustained. But what a big heart he has. Yeah, he even gave me his digital camera, and I did not have that. So I mean, along the journey, I met such fantastic people, and thank God I took that cycle. Then I came to know the value of good equipment, because had I gone with that bloody cycle which I was having for 13,000 rupees, in Christchurch itself, I would have thrown it into the ocean and came back to India. So that is how my journey started, and then I said that okay, at least I should, from Thane I should give it a try to go to Marine Drive and back. It is about 100 kilometers. By the time I came back, I was fucked. I said, this is bad, man. I mean, because I had a very stiff neck. It is my body is very, very stiff.
Right.
And my neck was stiff. I was walking like this, and I thought, yeah. But then I decided, अब वो वाली बात है ना कि अब बोल दिया तो पीछे नहीं हटने का, ईगो वाली प्रॉब्लम. दुनिया जहाँ को बता दिया I'm going for this expedition. Now I say that यार I can't even cycle from here to Marine Drive.
Right.
And then it will be quite shameful. But I knew, I mean, my body will adjust, adapt. When everyone is doing it, I can also do it. And I chose New Zealand to start off from New Zealand because New Zealand is a very, very safe country to ride.
Right.
The basic infrastructure is very good. It is a haven for camping, So in case you are stuck somewhere, there will always be help around. So rather than tackling Africa in the first go, which may sound glamorous, I decided to just do it start off in an easier manner.
Right.
And then there was the lowest tip as well. So the first milestone was just 500 kilometers away.
Right.
That's fantastic. And I mean, those are, again, I mean, stories are unending. How I continue to meet fantastic people. So what I did was I booked an Airbnb in Christchurch. And it was near to the airport. So with cycling, the things are very easy. You get out of the airport, take a SIM at the airport, just assemble your cycle and just put the panniers and just start riding. No taxi, no cab, nothing doing. So life is very, very easy.
Yeah.
And since I had not traveled internationally earlier, I did not know what jet lag is. What is bloody jet lag? Fucking nothing. So I thought that I will just reach there, stay there for the night, and then next day I will start cycling. But the time difference is almost 8 or 9 hours. And the journey was very, very long. It took around 12 hours to reach, and you don't sleep in an aircraft. Plus you have beers as well. So there were two brothers who were staying there. And there are no panniers. At that time, there were no panniers available in India.
Right.
So neither Otley nor any other model. So I got panniers, for rear panniers I got from one of my Veena's.
When was this?
2017. So my wife Veena's one of her niece nephew was in US. So I asked him. I just researched, and I sent the link from Amazon.com what all things to buy. So he got the panniers, but since it was an MTB, there was no attachment to fix the front panniers.
Right.
So you fix the carrier in the rear, and the rear panniers fits into that. But what do you do with the front pannier? So when I reached New Zealand, I had no this thing. I thought I will reach Christchurch and then I will somehow figure it out. But you can't figure it out like that.
Exactly. The FTP fork, won't
Yeah, because there
accommodate
are
that.
no attachments.
Right.
So what happened was the Airbnb where I stayed, there were two brothers. The elder brother's wife had died. The younger brother was a divorcee, so they were living all alone. And the younger brother was a aficionado, bike aficionado. And when I told him, he was super excited and he was a little mad. He had no brakes in his car. I mean, he just he used to drive like this. And he said, "Don't worry, I will manage everything. Oh, you don't have this." And they had in New Zealand or Australia, every house you will find a workshop.
Right.
It's a standard thing. In outside garage, they will have all kind of tools. Almost every house has that, especially those in the rural areas. So they were living on the outskirts of Christchurch. So he took me to bike shops. Personally, I couldn't have gone anywhere or done anything.
Right.
And we could not find, the ways to attach. We could not fix a carrier in the front mudguard or in front of the tire. So he bought clamps to be fixed to the bars, and then he did lot of jugaad. And I was very, very tired, and I slept for another day and they did not even ask for money or charge me anything. And he said, "Okay, you go sleep, you take rest. I'll do everything. You don't have to bother. I will fix everything." And by the time I woke up after 4 or 5 hours or something, he had gone for his work, but he has fixed the bike, put the panniers, everything was ready.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, amazing people, yeah. And he said that I always wanted to go on such long rides, but I could never gather courage. And he used to go for 70 kilometers and back and stuff like that. And so I did nothing. I just kept on sleeping in their house. Everything was fixed. My bike was ready. And like a VIP, I just rolled out from there.
Amazing.
But those initial days, I mean, I always think that, sometimes initial days are make or break, because if you're really, really bad experience, then you need to be very motivated to carry on, because you think, oh, fuck, I'm not fit, I'm not able to travel, and with all these hardships. But I mean, what a wonderful country, what beautiful scenery, and what lovely people. I mean, it was sheer pleasure cycling New Zealand. So anyone who asks me, I mean, you must go to New Zealand, you must cycle across Australia. A lot of stories for Australia as well. And then initial couple of days after that, I thought, okay, I will do it. It's not that big a deal. But then I also realized, okay, we will come to that later, the importance of tires and everything. So I reached Bluff, and then I cycled all along the west coast of South Island, which is supposed to be very, very beautiful. And then I came to, yes, I finished. I was to cycle North Island as well. It was not required, but then my father-in-law expired and I had to come back.
Oh.
And then rather than going back to cycle North Island, which was there was no point, I straight away went to Sydney and started my trip from Sydney to Perth.
Right. So how long was this thing, the whatever you rode in New Zealand?
Yeah, it was about 2,000 kilometers, and I took about 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But now if I do it, I will do it very, very differently, because I took a very shitty tent. You have to take a standalone tent.
Right.
You can't take a tent which can only stand when you fix the pegs. So what happens is you have to, fix the ground sheet first, and you put the pegs, and then the tent is attached to that, and you have to tie. So,
Right.
There are many places where the ground is very boggy or it is full of stones, and you can't do that. So, so I camped only half the days I camped, and then I stayed in backpackers hostel, which was very expensive. But now if I go again, I will never stay once in a while, maybe. That's a beautiful place to camp and to live outside in the
So
nature.
you said that the tent that you took is not very suitable.
Yeah, the tent which I took to New Zealand and Australia was not. But now I have a fantastic tent.
Okay. So how does it work? You don't have to fix it in the ground?
Yeah. I mean, you can just fix the structure and it will. So the tent will be standalone. You don't have to fix it in the ground.
Oh, okay.
Because there are those foldable poles that goes in, and then the structure is ready, and you have to tie it to the ground. In case the ground is too stony or too boggy, you just tie it to a tree so that it does not fly off.
Right.
Just to make it stable in case there are heavy wind and stuff like that.
Right. So when did you start the Sydney leg of it, the Australian leg?
Yeah, I started in December. The worst season one could cycle Australia, because it is peak of summers It is summers. It's southern hemisphere, and the summers are even worse than Indian summers.
Right.
So yeah,
December 2017.
yeah. I think I landed in November, December, January. I cycled 2.5 months.
How long? What was the distance?
It
And you
was
also kind of covered the highest peak there, I guess.
yeah. So it was about almost 5,000 kilometers,
Mm-hmm.
and I climbed the highest peak, Kosciuszko, which is hardly a peak. I mean, it is even less than the height is even less than Shimla.
Okay.
I mean, it's a joke. 5-year-old girl to 8-year-old grandmother, everyone goes to the peak. So, so whosoever is trying to, brag that he has climbed the highest peak of Australia, just tell him or her to just shut up. And there is a ropeway going to the top. You take a leisurely 5-kilometer walk, and then you are on top of Mount Kosciuszko. So this is the highest peak of Australia. The big screw is to reach there because, or to get out if you are going from. So what I did was, because it is near to a place called Jindabyne, so that there is a straight highway that is going from Sydney to Melbourne. But then cycling on a highway is a very, very boring thing. It is meant for cars and fast moving things. And I really don't enjoy cycling on the highways. So
Right.
I always try and take the road less traveled so that you can travel slow, you can have a look around, and you keep on meeting people, and those were really nice in remote areas. And this is what I loved about Africa. Come to that later, but
Yeah, let's talk about that. How do you, when you are starting out, how do you plan the route and, do you kind of think ahead that I will say on this day I will cover this much and I'll stay there and all that, or how does it go? Say for Australia, how did you go about planning and stuff?
yeah, because Australia, was one of the initial rides, so I was not that experimentative.
Right,
And secondly, the thing is that, it is very easy to follow. You are covering about 100 kilometers with a loaded bike.
right. Some 70 kg or something like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is.
I mean, in Australia, it was nearing 70 kgs because there is a place called Nullarbor Desert which you have to cross. It is a great Australian outback, and for 1600 kilometers, there are no trees, no habitation, nothing. There is no water. So after every 200 kilometers or so, there is a roadhouse, and you will only get water there. And when I was cycling across, the temperature touched 53 degrees.
Wow.
I mean, it was maddening. It was one of the worst heat wave in Australia in last few decades. And even the people were not going out even in their vehicles. But I had to go out. I mean, I could not kept on delaying it forever.
Right.
And it was, I mean, the thing with doing hard thing is that they become a benchmark for you to do great things.
Right. Hey, I have already done that, so this is nothing kind of comparison, right? Yeah.
I mean, because that is all, and that is where, that saying works, that ignorance is bliss. If I really knew what was in store for me, I never would have done it. A lot of things that I've done, I never would have done it if I knew how hard it was. But then you knew nothing.
Right.
So you just, so it is 1600 kilometers. So it was, at that time, there was when I was nearing Canberra, so I was using this Cannondale Trail 5, and it had MTV tires. And then what happened that when I landed in Sydney, and then I came to know there is something called Schwalbe tires, and Schwalbe Touring Plus or Marathon Plus and stuff like that. And there is the layer of Kevlar, and it prevents tire from puncture. And I said, this is fantastic, man. I've been repairing bloody punctures and stuff like that, and watch it. But when I asked the price, I was that too damn expensive. I said, leave it. I will carry on with these tires. So I used to cover about 100 kilometers with those tires. And then what happened that a big kind of a rod went inside the tire, and it just split the 1-inch gash, and the tire was gone. And then I changed the tire, and then I had this short tire in my mind. I thought, and then there was a friend of mine, she was staying in Melbourne, and I asked her, can you get these short tires? She said, okay, she will get it. And she even paid the price for short tires, sweet girl. So
Nice.
but the thing is, those are road tires.
Right.
Those are not MTB tires.
Oh.
So I thought, what the will they fit? They fit on the rim.
Okay. Same size.
Same size, they fit on the rim, and those are road tires, but a Marathon Tour Plus or something. But with
touring tires, yeah.
But with those tires, I was easily doing 130 kilometers every day.
Nice.
And I was, I thought I all along I was just screwing myself unnecessarily because I never required those bloody MTB tires in the first place if you are,
Yeah.
riding on the road.
Yeah.
So after that, it was 130 kilometers every day. So I used to plan. By that time, Australia is heaven for camping again. I mean, it is absolute wilderness, absolute wilderness. No one around for miles. And I mean, if you really love cycle touring, one must go to Australia
Right.
because basic things are taken care of. You can go anywhere in a petrol station. You can fill up your water bottles. All the water is drinking water there in the taps, so not a problem with that. People are nice. And but again, there are certain patches where there is no mobile network and you will carry on cycling for days and there is no mobile network. And there are frequencies written along the road, so every vehicle there in such areas have a radio set, a VHF or a HF radio set, and the frequencies are written 125.57 in case of emergency contact this frequency.
Right.
So I mean those are the risks, but
No, but
still okay.
how did you you said there was a 1600-kilometer stretch where
Yeah.
there is like nothing.
Yeah.
And in Australian summer, how did you kind of manage
Yes,
getting
so
through
I just fooled myself. I thought it will take me around 10 days to cycle,
that?
1600 kilometers or 12 days to cycle. The real challenge was about 1400 kilometers.
Okay.
Last 200
Yeah.
kilometers, there were trees and it was all right. So 1400 kilometers, I thought I will do it in 10 days. So I thought the challenge is to do the initial 600 kilometers. 600 kilometers, I will easily do in 6 days. Easily
Right.
do it in 6 days, no matter how hot it is. And then just it is 400 kilometers left. 400, I will do it any which ways.
Right.
So it does not matter.
Yeah.
So I never looked at it as 1400 kilometers or 1000 kilometers or whatever. I broke it into days and I thought that it is just a 5-day ride. Rest 10 days, I will just, it is not an issue because then kilometers are decreasing every day.
Right.
So you need to fool your mind in certain manner.
Right.
But then I was carrying about 20 liters of water.
Right.
In that intense heat, 70 kgs of cycle, and you are traveling. And I mean, I was on the verge of dehydration once, and and there was just no shade. There was just a dead tree. There was a small little shadow. And I was just lying in that shadow like this because everything was so damn hot.
Wow.
And then I conked off, and must be about 1 hour and 1.5 hours. And then I sensed something getting my nose. It was a dream. I was dreaming that some fucking old guy came and poking his bloody stick inside my nose. And I just did like this and woke up, and there was a spider trying to get inside my nose.
Wow.
Then I realized, but because I know one should not push too hard. I am never a believer that give your 120%. I always believe just give your 80%. Your life will get fucked even if you give 100%. And that is true in every walk of life.
Right.
These fuckers who are advocating 90 hours work week and stuff like that, just, otherwise in life also, I believe that life becomes enjoyable when you are giving 80%. You are doing what you do, and then you have enough time to enjoy your life. Life is not just meant to work, it is meant to do so many things. So even in cycling, I do that. I never push myself to the limits.
Right.
But slowly you increase your limit because of continuous cycling, but then I never push myself. So I knew that I am on the verge of dehydration. And I should stop. And if you die there or something happens, no one is there. Your body will also not be recovered.
Right.
So you have to take care. That's true in Africa as well.
Right.
No one will come to know.
So how did you kind of manage your, eating supplies? How much did you carry, and how did you kind of ration through the days?
Yes. So when I landed in Chennai, there was a club. And they asked me very intelligent questions, as Tamilians and South Indians are generally very, very intelligent. And they and they asked me what were your daily calorific requirement and stuff like that. I said, calorific requirement? Fucking, I never thought about calories. In my whole life, I never thought about it. I mean, and you think that I'm exaggerating, but I don't know what is protein, what is carbohydrate, and what is what.
Right.
I just eat whatever I get my hands on.
Yeah.
Vegetables or anything moving, crawling, flying, slithering does not really matter. If I'm hungry, if I get whatever, I just eat. So my rations was very, very simple. I took a pressure cooker. I had a multi-fuel stove. So there are stoves which come, so it can run on kerosene, on gas, on petrol, on diesel.
Right.
So I used to use petrol and I had that stove. And I took a small 1-liter pressure cooker, and every day I used to cook khichdi, standard, no change, no variation, nothing.
Right.
And that too, just boil the water and put rice and dal, एक चम्मच namak, 1 spoon of masala, which my wife used to prepare and give it to me. That's about it.
Right.
That was all the nutrition that I had. If I get vegetables, because in summers the tomatoes will get, you know, they खराब हो जाते थे बहुत
Spoiled,
जल्दी.
yeah.
Cucumbers and everything. But then dinner was all right because every day, every night I used to camp and cook my food. But lunch was a problem. So for lunch, I used to, if there was some small town in between, I used to stop and have a burger. And if you're having a burger, you want to have a coffee as well. And it used to cost me $10.
Yeah.
Which was too expensive on an everyday basis. Once in a while, it is all right. So in Jindabyne, when I was climbing, when I went to climb this peak, the highest peak in Australia. So it's a detour from, again, a very beautiful ride, those who want to take it. So there is a direct route from Canberra to Melbourne. But if you go to Jindabyne, then there is a route going from Kosciuszko Mountains. For 3 days, you will be out of coverage area. There is no road. It's just a track, but very, very beautiful route. Anyway, so I was staying there, and there is a thing called Warm Showers. I don't know whether you know. It's a community of cyclists who host cyclists for free.
Warm showers, yeah.
Showers. So I was staying with the Warm Shower host. And then another cyclist came in. He was an Australian, he was cycling from some other place. Then I asked him, yeah, what do you do for lunch? He says that I just raw salamis, I just roll in those, what you call tortillas, that chapati jo bani banai jati hai.
Tortillas, yeah.
So he says that I just roll it in this thing and I eat it. It's a raw bloody thing, salami. And then I asked, don't they go bad because they need to be put into freezer? He said that if you keep them out of sunlight, they will not go bad for 3 days.
Wow.
And that was a lottery ticket for me when I came to know that. I bought a lot of salamis, put it in that dustbin wali polythene, black wali, usko pressure cooker mein dala andar aur maine chupa ke rakh diya. And then being an Indian, our taste buds and culinary skills are way better than Australians. So I used to have that, and I used to look forward for my lunch break. So what I used to do was I spread that roti or tortilla or whatever. Then I used to have a layer of mayonnaise, a layer of tomato sauce, and then I used to chop tomatoes, then cucumber, and then salamis on top of that, and roll it. I'm telling you, much better than any damn Subway sandwich. It was so yummy, I tell you. And even I have eaten rotten salamis because I had run out of food. I said nothing happens. And I had eaten rotten rice also. Once I was cycling, when I was cycling Nullarbor, one day I cycled 180 kilometers. Because I had to reach a particular, because I had not spoken to my wife for 6-7 days. And again, there is another story, but I will leave that. So a guy had prepared, there was this in the olden times, they used to have booklets. And in Australia, where they used to write all about the camping sites along the Nullarbor and where you will get mobile signal as well. So he had photocopied me that book and given it to me. So in that, it was showing at a certain kilometer, there is mobile signal. So I was planning to reach there. I reached there. It was very, very dark. And I cycled for 180 kilometers, which was the longest ride I did in a day. And I was dead tired. And there was no bloody mobile signal. And I had cooked rice in the afternoon because it was there was nothing where you could, and I had run out of salamis. And the rice had gone bad in the evening. And I had absolutely no strength to cook rice again. And it has started to stink. So what I did was I had a small dabbi of achar as well, which I used to keep for emergency. I just took out the Nibu ka achar, mix it in that so that I don't smell the stink, and I just ate it. I thought if my stomach will go bad, that will happen in the morning, but let me eat and let me go out to sleep. So yeah, but nothing happened, luckily.
That's nice.
Yeah, so but that was a very challenging ride.
Excellent. So you covered what, 5,000 kilometers, you said?
In Australia, almost 5,000 kilometers.
Nice.
And then Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and then I cycled across Chennai to Mumbai as well. Because earlier I was planning to cycle around the world. But then COVID happened, and then I changed it to cycling every continent.
Right. So, So what, and then when was Africa?
Africa, I started post-COVID, I think 2021 or 22.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you notice? Is it like you have covered New Zealand, Australia, Thailand, and
Indonesia, Malaysia.
And Chennai to Mumbai and all that before COVID, right? And after COVID, say 22, you started, you resumed basically to kind of in with Australia, with Africa,
Yeah.
right? And so, what was the difference, say, from what you saw before COVID to after COVID? Any differences you noticed?
In Africa, there was no COVID.
Right.
They never declared there is any COVID. People were as such dying. You die of COVID, you die of any other thing. It does not matter. Economy is in such a shit state in every country that they could not afford to put. There was no this thing what happened in India and
No
rest of the
restrictions.
no
nothing.
restrictions, nothing, no mask. What COVID? I landed in Cairo airport. What COVID? No COVID. Everyone is roaming around, freely. There was never any lockdown or anything because they could not afford it, and not that many people died. COVID was quite a. I mean, I won't say that there was no. I mean, there was COVID, and I got vaccinated because vaccine certificate was required and everything. And those who can take precaution should take precaution, but they could not afford it. So life was absolutely normal there.
So, and you when did you ride in Africa and you scaled Kilimanjaro, right?
Yeah.
So, how was that experience?
Oh, it was. Africa is fantastic. I mean, the thing is that people have a lot of misconception. That's why I mean one should not listen too much to feedbacks and people. And many people speak just for the sake of speaking and sounding knowledgeable. You know that I know it all, and I'm telling you I've lived there and life is that. And many people told me that even before going to Australia, people said that they are racist. They throw bottles at you, and it is a shitty place for an Indian, for an Asian to be cycling around. One of the best countries that I ever cycled. By the time when I took the flight from India, when I was going to New Zealand, there was an Australian sitting next to me. We had a chat and he gave me that, whenever you came to Melbourne, you have to come and stay with me. In New Zealand, I started meeting Australians because it is their backyard and,
Right.
they travel a lot to New Zealand. And by the time I reached Melbourne, I had so many addresses in Melbourne that I could have shifted house every other day and I would have stayed there for a month.
Wow.
And I lived in so many, people used to come, stop, and just give me their addresses. They used to ask me, what are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. And they, oh, fantastic. And they just gave their address and they said, you have to come and stay with us. Who will do it in India?
Yeah.
Keep on saying Atiti Devo Bhava and lot of things. I mean, it comes from the heart. It does not come from speaking things and stuff like that.
Right.
Because they themselves are extremely outdoorsy people, Australians. On the weekend, everyone is out hiking or swimming or trail running or, long distance cycling and stuff like that. And for them to appreciate, because they understand what I was doing.
Yeah.
And when I was cycling across Nullarbor, it was bloody damn hot. And there is a roadhouse called Yukla on the way. So there is a small climb, the roadhouse. And then I was dead tired. And I was, as I was walking up, there were two ladies, they must be in their 50s. They just came and hugged me. They had overtaken me on the road and must be wondering what this fucker is doing in the middle of the, heat, desert heat, 53-degree temperature. And they said, oh, we saw you on the road and we were just thinking and we were planning to stop, but we thought we were in double mind whether we should stop or not. And then they said, your trip is over. They had a trailer attached to their Land Rover. And they said, your trip is over. Just put your cycle. Where are you going? I said, I'm going to Perth. We are also going to Perth. You just come along. I said, no, I can't come along. I have to finish this trip. I will reach Perth in 7-8 days time. And then you have to come and stay with us. And then one of their daughter was staying in, there is a place called Esperance. It has some of the bluest seas in the world. It's a beautiful place. Their daughter was, one of the lady's daughter was staying in Esperance. And she said, she just gave a call to her daughter. This guy is coming. He will reach in 4 days. Just take care of him. Blah, blah, blah and stuff like that. And so damn excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, out of the blue, why would someone do this? And then I landed in Perth, but they were staying about 60 kilometers away from Perth. And then I was staying with someone, and then I took a metro and they came to pick me up at the railway station. So happy. I stayed with them for 3 days. They took me all around. And I mean, who will do that? So one should not listen to what others are saying. Just live your experiences. And many a time, the bad experiences they have gone through is because of their own nature, maybe.
Right.
We all of us will deal with situation in our way. We have our own how to diffuse situation, how to make friends, how to have faith in someone. There are so many subtle things which you cannot write down on a piece of paper. And I have earlier also not a single bad experience. Never ever has it happened that anyone bullied me, anyone tried to snatch something from me, or they were rude to me. Other than Egypt, Egypt is a useless place. But never it has happened. Never in Africa, never in Australia, never anywhere else. I mean, so a lot depends on you, how you are, and people are very, very good. Africa was phenomenal experience. I mean, every country was so different. And I love solitude. I love to be alone. I'm not looking for even before this Ranveer Alabadia show, no one knew me. I had a Facebook account. I was doing nothing. I was just randomly used to post something, 60 odd likes or stuff like that. It's okay. Then lockdown happened. And I was enjoying my life because I was not doing anything. My wife is an artist. She was busy with her pottery, and I love to read. I don't need anything else. A chilled glass of beer and a book in hand is my definition of heaven, and I can have that every day. So I was living a heavenly life. I was in my heavenly abode. So she said, do something. Bloody open an Instagram account. I was not even aware what is Instagram.
Right.
Because I had nothing to do, so I started an Instagram account and write, or just used to write a few other things. But then I realized the value of it. It's not that I have no desire. Absolutely, I don't do whatever I do so that people should know me. It's my individual pursuit.
Right.
It's not for popularity, publicity, or money. But then I also got inspired by a few people who were doing extraordinary things. Right. Had I not read about them, had I not read their account, had I not met them, it wouldn't have given me the courage to do it.
Right.
And when I started writing about it, and I received so many beautiful messages. I mean, I don't post them on stories as generally people do, because I think it's a very, very private conversation that they have with me, and I like to maintain their sacredness and sanctity. But I get such lovely messages that because of you, we started cycling. That because of one guy left his job and started his NGO, which he was planning for such a long time.
Wow.
I never wanted to say, don't do such mistakes, man. But then again, I mean, it is like, a candle can light 1,000 candles. So that is what I think.
Exactly.
And that is the reason, because I stopped doing podcast, and that is why I came to your podcast, because this is very bike centric and what we are doing. The rest of it's a random conversation,
Right.
more to do with masala and then content. So that is why I write what I write. And long time ago, when I had an Instagram account, there used to be 50, 60 likes. It's okay. I'm not. But then I started, then you see reels, and then some page, that random page comes, and I saw a traveler guy, and he had 7,000 odd likes. And I said, 7,000 likes on a post? I mean, how is it bloody possible, 7,000 likes? Now, if I write regularly, I'm not boasting, but then, I mean, I don't have, and I write for whole 2,200 characters. That is the limit of Instagram post.
Right.
My all posts are 2,200 character exact, because it is a challenge to, constrict your content, squeeze everything in such a small space. And still, I mean, people read it. It's not that they say that they have no retention thing, but many people have, and they want to read it. And few of my posts have 21,000 likes and 19,000 likes and stuff like that. Not that I'm not boasting about it. What I'm trying to say is there are still people around who are like-minded, who want to do. I mean, they have longings in their heart, and they like to philosophize things. They want to, indulge in such things where they want to push their boundaries and want to make a change.
Right.
So even if by what I am doing, if it has changed, given courage to a few individuals, it's more than how many people can claim that. So that gives me immense satisfaction.
Definitely. And let us talk a little bit about Africa, no? Your journey in Africa in 2022, and how and what was the experience of climbing Kilimanjaro and stuff.
So Africa, so I love. I mean, again, there are a lot of misconceptions about Sudan, because US has labeled it as terrorist country. There is no bloody terrorism. They are so poor. How will they indulge in terrorism and stuff like that? Anyways. In Egypt, I could not cycle much because now they do not let anyone cycle without a police escort. So there are a lot of problems. There was an Indian cyclist. There is a guy called Cycle Baba. He has traveled a lot, Dr. Raj. And so he was even put into jail.
Wow.
So with Europeans, they can't do that because their governments are strong. With Indians, they treat us like dirt. So I don't like such places. So I just went to Egypt as a tourist. I went to Indian embassy just to clarify things, and they said clearly that don't cycle.
Yeah.
If you get into any trouble, we will not help you.
Right.
It's not that we don't want to help you, but the administration here is, and the police and judiciary is so corrupt that they won't even listen to us.
Right.
So I said, why to unnecessary take pangas? There is no point. So I met fantastic people who became great friends, Germans and Dutch, and they even came to India, stayed with us. So I had a great time because I was fascinated by Egyptian history. Whichever country I go, I generally read a lot about that country so that I can relate what it was earlier and what it is now. And that gives us way more context. It is not just about, discovering distance.
Right.
So Egypt, yeah, I enjoyed that way. And then I came to this moment I crossed border, I started cycling in Sudan. It's again a haven for cycling. It's Sahara Desert, no one around for miles, some of the most beautiful, desolate camping you can do. And so I cycled from Wadi Halfa, which is the border of Egypt, to Khartoum. And from there, I wanted to go to Ethiopia. That was my route, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and further down south. But there was a civil war going in Ethiopia. So the borders were closed. In South Sudan, there was a civil war going, so borders were closed. So I could not go anywhere from Sudan. So from there, I took a flight to Kenya. So I landed in Nairobi, but Nairobi is to the south of Kenya. So I decided to go northwards. And to the north of Kenya, there is a lake called Lake Turkana. And it is one of the most legendary lakes where the oldest humanoids were found, 3.2 million year old.
Wow.
So I decided to cycle to that place, but there is a place called Maralal, Rumuruti. Now at that point in time, I could not even remember these names, and I always had to look for bloody map and remember them. Now they are, I know them like the back of my hand. So after Rumuruti, I think there is no road. It is just a trek, Maralala from Marala. But then I was staying with a friend of mine, and he said that one of his friends, he conducts safaris out there, and you just have a word because it's an unknown territory. They themselves had never gone there. No one goes there. So I spoke to him. He was an Indian. I mean, Kenya, half the population is of Indians, and he was second or third generation Indian. And he said that I introduced myself. Generally, I never tell anyone that I am from army or I am from special forces, because I just want to have a normal conversation. That people have preconceived ideas and notion and the sense of respect and whatever, and then you lose out on the actual conversation. So I said, it's okay. Then he started, who are you? I said, I'm Sushant, and so what are you planning to do? I said, I'm going to Lake Turkana, planning to cycle. How are you going? Well, I'm planning to cycle. Well, how did you get this? Well, he got pissed off somehow for no reason. How did you get this idea that you will cycle to Turkana? I said, I saw it on the map and I just thought that I will go there. Well, have you done any research? Well, yeah, I saw the route. There is a road going there, so I will go there. So he said, you know how dangerous it is? There is a war going on between Turkana and Samburu tribes. So the cattle war, they're still going on. They're fighting after. There's a long... So, I take the tour there and it is so dangerous. There are people roaming around with AK-47s, and whenever we go there, we only go with armed escort. There is the vehicle of, there is one vehicle in between and the vehicle of police in front and police in back, and then we go there and you think you will go on your own. I said, I am from, I said, I have a little experience. I said, I was in the army and special forces. So you want to become a commando here? I said, I have no intent to become any. I was just asking for advice. So he said, there is no need to go there, and don't act macho. Don't try to prove that you are some superhuman being and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he cut down. So the guy, my friend was listening. He said, so are you going? No, of course I am going. I will not listen to this fucker. Unnecessarily trying to act so. Anyways, I started cycling. And it was one of the most desolate rides. Ignorance is bliss.
Right.
Had I known what the route was like, I never would have gone. So there was, the first pass was at 2,800 meters. And there is no road. And road means, the track is also, there are big boulders in between, and you can't ride, you have to get down and, cycle, hold your cycle with full brakes on. And the problem with, what do you call those?
Drop
bar handles is, you can't hold like this.
Right.
And when you're climbing uphill, it becomes very limited in the
braking
power also very limited. And then when you're going downhill, this thing hurts badly because you are just, first of all, it is a very rough track.
Yeah.
And then you are pulling the brakes with full strength.
Right.
When you have a bar, which is this flat bar, then it is very, very convenient.
Yeah.
And you can have that additional attachment on the side, so you can hold the cycle like that as well. But then I bought a Kona Sutra touring bike. So
Yeah, I was wondering why, because the Quick Five is a flat bar one. Now you
yeah,
switch it
yeah,
to
so
Corner Sutra after
and this
this.
is the best thing I did.
Yeah,
I mean, this is also an amazing story and a great salesmanship.
yeah,
So I landed in Chennai.
yeah.
So there is this Pro Bike or something. There's a
Pro
big bike
Bakers,
shop.
yeah.
Yeah. So this that
Suresh.
Suresh
Yeah,
that. So I was staying with a friend of mine. He's a doctor. He's a cancer surgeon in Adyar, and so I was staying with him, and he took me to this guy. He just have meet
Suresh.
him, and he does a lot of things. And Anand, my friend, he introduced me, and he said, "So wow, man, which cycle you are using?" I said, "I'm using this straight. Oh, this is not meant for touring. I have a touring bike.
Yeah.
Have a look." So I had a look. I said, "How much it is for?" He said, "Oh, it's just 1 lakh." I said, "I don't have this kind of money." "Oh, you don't worry. You just take a test drive. Take a test drive. Nothing goes for taking a test." And when I rode that bike, fucking amazing, man.
Yeah,
And because the difference that was when I changed from MTB to road tires was amazing. And when I rode this cycle, I realized because the MTB is not meant to go fast,
yeah.
the gear composition and stuff like that, it is not meant for that. And when I cycled about 5 kilometers, I thought, what a wonderful bike. But then I did not have money, so I thought, okay, you keep it. And then I went away. Now, who will buy a touring? No one is gonna buy a touring bike. उसके पास ऐसी पड़ी हुई थी. वो then I went back to Bhopal after completing the ride. And then, but that thing stuck in my mind. Yeah,
Right.
it's a great bike. Yeah, but then I told him, okay, bloody send that bike, and I will buy that bike. Then he sent it to Bhopal.
Yeah.
Best decision that I took because I realized. I mean, I always had that conviction. I never buy bad shoes. I never buy bad average jackets or average rucksacks. I always buy whatever is best because it is survival.
Yeah,
It is
exactly.
actually survival equipment. It is not just. And those jackets and boots, jackets have lasted me for 20 years. I'm still using the jacket which I bought 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The boots last as long as, it depends on the use.
The right equipment makes all the difference.
Oh, it makes a lot of difference. So I went, on that route. So I have some lovely photographs. I mean, you can just show those photographs. I will send them to
Yeah.
you. And one of the most amazing, beautiful ride, I was rogered through the limit. Again, a very beautiful story. And I was carrying too much of luggage now.
Right.
I will come to that later. But some climbs were so steep and so tight because again it was 40 degrees and very, very hot, and water becomes so damn hot that it does not quenches your thirst. And one climb I just could not, climb, and I was just pushing, and I could not even push my cycle. And then there was this small kid who came on the bike, and then he watched me, and he went and I said, nice thing, yeah. And then after some time, I saw that young chap, he must be around 14 years old, coming back running.
Yeah.
I know what happened to him. And then he just started pushing my cycle.
Right. Helping you. Yeah.
And it was about a kilometer long climb. And he came running back and he just pushed my bike. He did not even know English, though in Kenya, everyone knows English because of the missionaries. And then, I mean, that's why I'm saying that when you go out of the limits of the city, and we keep on gallowing the world that it is turning so bad and there are bad people everywhere, just get out of the limit and look at yourself. Are you good? That you are saying that others are not good.
Yeah.
I have met such fantastic people that I will not do the things that people have done to me. I have been really, really lucky in that regard. Anyways, I mean, so I went to, and I met those AK-47 guys also on the route.
Right.
Yeah. But I told the same story in Ranveer Alabaja's podcast also. I knew because I'm not afraid of AK-47 because it has been part of my life for 12 years. I mean, like a pencil to you, AK-47 is something like that to me.
Yeah.
So I can see it in the eyes, I can see it in the weapon. If it is on safety, he cannot fire even if he's threatening. And if he puts it on fire, I have reaction time to react. And while the situation will come, he is not getting ammunition supply. He has only 20 rounds or 10 rounds with him. Why will he waste it on me? He will fight it with Samburu or Turkana and shoot them when the time comes to fight. Their weapons are absolutely rusted. For a normal guy to see two guys with AK-47, I mean, they can shit in their pants that it is something.
Exactly. Yeah.
I won't know.
Yeah.
I had a cup of tea with them.
Wow.
Sitting with them. And they using we are pastoralist and English like that, which I will even not speak, and had a nice conversation with them.
Nice.
They are not there to randomly, they are not mad people that they randomly shoot you.
Right.
The whole problem is with this Goras who go there and travel and they think that by distributing money or toffees, they will, solve the problems of Africa or any other country. All the problems in Africa are because of these white guys. So when I was cycling, I met this couple. They were coming from the opposite direction. They were American couple. And they said, did you meet these guys? Uh, uh, these cow herds and with these things. I said, yeah, I met them. But then you have to use your wisdom. You don't have to stop every time. They used to, hey man, how are you? How are you? You can make out when they are shouting like this, they want something in return. I said, oh, fine, man. Fine. And I just keep on saying, how are you? Very fine. No, these fuckers stopped. And something pen, they all the pen, toffee, money, and they don't say give me, they say give me my money. This is that. They don't say give money. Please give money. Give me my money. As if they are give me my money, and then they will become aggressive. Then 4 or 5, give me my money. So these idiots must have stopped, and few seeing their poverty, they thought they will give them some US dollars and toffees, and they are doing a very fantastic thing. And so they gave, and all of a sudden, out of the bushes jumped out 15 more guys. And they just mounted on their SUV and trying to snatch whatever they could, and somehow they ran away. I said, because of idiots like you, I did not tell it to them because of idiots like you, things become difficult for everyone else and they expect that everyone will do the same thing. But luckily, nothing wrong happened with me. Because sometimes, you with experience and with travel, you become a little savvy that how to tackle situations.
Right.
You put 2 guys in similar situation, one may come out of it, one may just get stuck. So a lot depends on you. So that's why I don't depend on others' experiences. If I know someone intimately and he tells me something about it, I take it seriously. But from random people, I don't take their thing too seriously. If I've decided to go somewhere, I will go.
Right.
Because I did not take that chap's opinion about going to Lake Turkana. I know he's a guy who sits in comfort and ACs and travels in a Land Rover. So he will not know the ground realities. A solo cyclist has a charm. I don't know why. I mean, you see him on the road. There is a romance to it because I think there is a longing in everyone's heart to live a life like that. That you can leave everything behind. That whatever you want, you are carrying on your cycle, and it's a vagabond's life. There is a romance that is there in everyone's heart.
Right.
That is why when we talk of escape, we talk of road travel. But then it is in comfort. But when you graduate, even in our philosophy. For me, it is a kind of, looking for answers, looking for an alternate life or what pleasure, what real happiness is. It is more to do with that rather than making some kind of record or anything. So that is what motivates me to travel. It's not about this thing. So, so I reached Lake Turkana. And then from there, I came back and then I cycled to Arusha. And from Arusha, I climbed Kilimanjaro. Yeah, it was a nice climb. So it is not that difficult. You can easily do it.
Right.
And then from there I cycled. Either I could have gone south to Zambia straightway, but then again I went to Lake Tanganyika. It's again a legendary lake. So I am a lot into old adventurers and explorers who found the source of Nile, who found various lakes in this thing. I've read a lot of their accounts. Richard Francis Burton, David Livingstone, and Morgan Stanley. Fantastic things that you can ever read. And past interests me more than the future because we will never see those times again. So many things have died down. So many cultures have finished.
Yeah.
And the kind of things what they wrote was very, very pure, unadulterated, absolutely.
Yeah.
Their first time experience of meeting a tribe which no one had ever seen. Fantastic experiences. So I went to Lake Tanganyika from there and I stayed there for a few days and then I went down south to Zambia. So in Zambia, there is there is a WhatsApp group called Cairo to Cape Town. So you keep a query if you're going to a country, which route should I take? Where should I go? Is there anything, what are the points that one should miss, danger and stuff? So they keep on discussing.
Right.
So in that there is, I had read some time ago that you at Luangwa National Park, you can cycle. So the thing is that there is a North Luangwa National Park and South Luangwa National Park. So you can cycle across North Luangwa National Park, it is allowed. But you can't cycle inside South Luangwa National Park because it has the highest density of lions in Africa.
Oh, okay.
And I did not knew of this finer distinction between North and South. So I entered bloody South Luangwa National Park.
Okay.
And the guards there stopped me. After about cycling for about 50-60 kilometers, the guard stopped me. And oh, not allowed, not allowed. No, 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 you can't go inside. I thought it's a normal corruption thing because it's always money, money, money.
Right.
So I said, oh no, come on, I can go. And oh no, you can't go. Cyclists cannot go. I said, oh, let me go, man. Oh, it's not big. You are alone. It's not allowed. And as far as possible, I don't give money because you give money, there is no end to it. So, but somehow I said just cajoled them, made some jokes to them, and bullshitted them. They are also, disgusted, corrupt people who are lying there. So they opened the barrier, and I went inside. And then, there is an escarpment, which is you are on a mountain, and it's 1,500 meters straight down.
Oh.
And there is no road, just a track with big boulders. So I have I have few photographs and drone shot of this, and you can see the unending expanse of jungle, dense jungle, and the very pencil thin thread of track which is going across it.
Right.
Anyway, I went down, and there is no vehicle, nothing. It is damn hot because it is dense jungle, and then the entire bed is full of sand. And I had these normal road tires,
Right.
and the tires will go inside the sand, and many times I had to take out all the four panniers, my rucksack, and then push the cycle, and then get the panniers, all the four panniers. And I had very limited water, and I'd stuffed a lot of food because there was nothing in the jungle. There was no water as well. So I a lot of chocolates and this and that. Then I started throwing everything away.
Oh.
Because it was, my cycle had become too heavy, and I had to push, just push. In 5 kilometers, I covered only 5 hours. I could only cover 3 kilometers.
Wow.
Because I was only pushing my cycle
in sand.
And then on the first night, I got luckily there was a kind of clearing. I camped there. And on the second night, there is no water source. I thought some vehicle will pass and I will take water. No vehicle passed. And there is this just one river, Luangwa River, which is flowing through the national park. I had no water filter. I was carrying water from Australia. I just drank sometimes water, muddy water, just like that without filtering. This time I was carrying filter, but I was so thirsty. I saw the water, it was looking clean to me. I just filled it and drank it. Never even bothered to filter it. And I filled the rest of the water bottles. And then I kept on waiting that some vehicle will pass. No vehicle came. And then I camped in the middle of the jungle. That was the only time when I was really down, and I was really little bit scared that and Google Maps did not work there. It was showing very wrong locations. So whosoever is going to Africa and going to very remote places, there is Map My Africa app which one should use. I was not aware of that. So I camped in the jungle. And I did not even eat food. I had some bread. I just put cheese on it, and I had no strength to cook rice.
Right.
And it was very damn hot. And I just went out to sleep. And in the morning, there were strange paw signs next to this thing, and lot of big elephant footmarks around my tent.
Wow.
And on the road. But that is the best part about cycling, that you are so damn tired that you don't even bother about it.
Yeah.
So in the morning, so there is a gate called Chifungwe Gate. I still remember the name, Chifungwe Gate, where I was heading. So the route was on the Google map. It was showing it's a straight road. So I switched off the map and I just started cycling. And after some time, the route became really nice. And I thought, wow, man, I'm out of the fucking jungle. And riding. And I reached that gate. Thank God. There was a settlement there and everything. And he said, and I said, and then there is a place called Mufwe. It is a small town. So I said, so how far is Mufwe from here? What Mufwe? No Mufwe. This is jungle again. Mufwe, very, very far away. And in that dense jungle, there was a track must have gone right side, and I took the left side because this track was more prominent. And I thought, because this was no bloody track, I must have missed it because it was not there at all. And I was totally this thing. I thought, shit, man. And then he said that, shall I send a guide who will show you the way? I thought, okay, in Google Map, I saw, okay, there was a road I thought I will find it. I said, okay, no guide required. And then when I cycled back, it was about 8-9 kilometers. In that jungle, it mattered a lot because I told you that for covering. And in jungle, you cannot make out where have you reached. So I cycled. I thought the turn will come because I can make out where the turn is. You can see it if there is a major route going to another place. And then I realized that I am cycling on the same patch, that dusty, that full of sand.
Right.
And I realized it pretty late because jungle, everything is same. There are no landmarks, no nothing, same trees everywhere. And then I switched on the map. And because my battery was also, though I carry 10,000 mAh, two 10,000 mAh batteries, then I opened the map. I saw that from the junction, I was 1 kilometer away. I said, fucking, I never saw any trail going to another direction. And then I came back, and where it was showing where that junction was, I reached that point again, and I still could not see any track going to the right. There was just a small hint that someone must have walked this way.
Right.
So what the fuck, man? Now what should I do? And I was really regretting. I should have paid that chap 100 whatever their currency and got him. But then I took that track, and I was always afraid that again I'm on a wrong track because there were such big bushes, and then I was just cycling through them. But on the map, the dot was moving about 50 meters further ahead, but it was moving in a similar direction. So I just took a leap of faith and I kept on following. And then the jungle was burning in front, and it was, had I recorded those scenes, it would have been legendary. But I was so tired, and I was, for the first time, I was thinking that I'm gonna, if you are lost in jungle, you are lost. It's very difficult to get out. And I was on the last stretches of my energy. I had no energy left. But luckily, that track took me to Chifungwe Gate, and I reached that place, and there was no one in that camp, absolutely desolate. And after half an hour, a guy came who was the forest guard, and then I said, and he could see that I was in a bad state, so he made tea for me, and he was filling water. I'd gone to fill water from the river, and after that, there was no cycling allowed.
Right.
And then luckily the vehicle came after half an hour. I'd cooked rice. I gave some rice to that forest guard, and then I sat in that vehicle and came out on the other side. So that was the only time where I got stuck. Otherwise,
Amazing. Hey, these are the things, right? Uh, even even though you have, this special forces background and everything, and maybe because you had that kind of, energy, you kind of survived this in being stuck in the jungle.
no, again, that is a misconception actually. All the cyclists who are cycling around the world, I mean, it's quite a few people in Europe and America do it. None of them are Fauji's. They are just simple people who had no experience. So again, because many people think that it is because of it I'm doing, and they already form a kind of opinion in their mind that they can't do it. Everyone can do it. It is for everyone. It has nothing to do with being a Fauji or not being a Fauji. In fact, Faujis just don't do it, because now at my age, most of my course mates are brigadiers now, and brigadier is a big rank in army. And they think that all our life we have been screwed. We are staying in jungle in some bloody lonely post. Now we want to have a good life. Enough of it. We want to live with our wife and kids. We want to enjoy family time. We want to be in a place like Bangalore or Pune or Mumbai and just enjoy the pleasures of normal civilian life.
Right.
So no one does it.
Yeah.
No one does it. So it's anyone who anyone who wants to do it. So it should never be a consideration, even a consideration whether they need such training or not. Once you start doing it, because what people think, whenever we go out on such ventures, we always think of bad things that can happen to us. We never think what good thing the providence will bring to us.
Right.
At every juncture, you will meet fantastic people, that there will be someone to help you out, that they will create beautiful memories for you. I'm saying that I have not a single bad memory.
Yeah.
And if
you expect good things to happen, I guess you bring them to fruition.
I mean, I really do not know whether our expectations have that power, because many people expect good things to happen in their life, but they are just getting screwed. Okay. Who wants to get screwed?
Yeah.
Who wants to be in a bad job?
Right.
Who wants to be in a bad marriage?
Yeah.
Who wants to have bad kids? Who want to be a bad parent? No one. Everyone wants good things to happen to them, but it does not happen that way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's another discussion. But the thing is that you just go out with an open thing. You just go out because you want to do it.
Yeah.
Bad things can happen, but they should not deter you. It could have happened to me, but it wouldn't have deterred me. It wouldn't have shaken my faith in the. So the problem is that bad things have lot of power to discourage us. One bad thing happens, and people think, oh, you should not go there. But you are not. There is one bad guy who has robbed you, but you don't understand there are 100 good guys.
Yeah.
So we just discount that possibilities, and then we are losing. We are on the losing side. No one else is on the losing side. So I always, in everything, even I write a lot of posts about it. The worst thing that we can teach our kids or we can follow is never trust a stranger.
Right.
If you won't trust a stranger, then how will you meet new people? How will you have new experiences? And you have to remember that you are also a stranger to someone. Shall you not be
Absolutely.
trusted?
Yeah.
So my first reaction whenever I meet anyone is 100% trust. Someone should give me a reason not to trust him or her. Otherwise, I trust them explicitly.
Yeah.
And I think that is the best way to, progress in a relationship. That you should have complete trust and faith. Otherwise, there is no friendship, there is no relationship. It is just if you are always doubting someone. So, and maybe that is the reason that phenomenal things. If someone would have given me, whenever I've gotten into trouble and someone would have given me a blank sheet of paper and told me to write the solution of it, that how will you get out of it? I mean, the way I have gotten out of that, the such situation is preposterous. I mean, the thing is that I couldn't have asked for so much more, that it could be so this thing. So I written a post also about it. That what happened was that I was leaving Zambia. I was in Victoria Falls. I had camped. For a change, I had camped in because Livingstone is a town and very touristy place, so you just can't camp in the wild. And I was planning to stay for 2-3 days, so there was a camping ground, and I had camped there, just next to Zambezi River. And on that day, I had to cross over to Botswana, and I was just camping. And I'd gone out to sleep in the night, and when I woke up in the morning, there were a lot of old cars, vintage cars. So there was this vintage car group, which had come from somewhere, and they must be going somewhere, and they had camped. So the camping grounds are very well organized because it's all courtesy the English people.
Right.
So when I was packing up, this guy came along. His name was Tom. He was from South Africa. He was driving a old Volkswagen, very old Volkswagen, 1970, and he was also a cyclist. So he asked me, "Oh, where are you going? What are you doing?" So we had a nice chat, and he said, "Oh man, great." And they were cycling all along. They were coming from Namibia. So I said, "What route are you following?" So when you go to a new place, you don't remember the name because so
Right.
So very strange name, Spitzkop. So I always, rather than I do not. I trust the technology, but not that much. I always have this thing in my diary.
Yeah.
All the time and distances and all the routes for all the countries, I always write them in my diary. Phone can conk off any time.
Yeah.
So I showed him my diary that this is my route. So he was mighty impressed. Oh, no. Who uses a diary in this day and age?
Yeah.
I said, I mean, it's just a backup. So he loved it, and he said, and he then suggested what else I should know. I said, okay. He said that if you have any trouble when you reach South Africa, I live in Cape Town, just give me a call. So, so he gave me a number, and we just drifted. And then I went to Botswana. He went his own way, and then I went to Namibia again. Namibia. Anyone who wants to travel Africa and thinking of just one place to go should go to Namibia. And that is the best place for overlanding. Oof! I mean, it's absolute desert. There is no one around for hundreds of miles. And you will see beautiful sceneries, and I mean, what a place.
Yeah.
For a cyclist, it's a big challenge. If you love challenges, it is fantastic. But otherwise, for overlanding, because you get these converted Hilux on rent, you just rent it and just travel. Anyway, so I went across Namibia, which was again some of the most beautiful photographs and places you can. Wild camping was phenomenal. I love to be absolutely alone where there is no one around for hundreds of miles. So I reached South Africa, and I reached Cape Agulhas, which is the lowest tip, and the weather turned really nasty. A cold front had developed. Now, weather in Cape Town and South of Africa is very, very dodgy because the Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean made it is the lowest tip. So the wind is the wind was about 70 kilometers per hour for the next 2 weeks. And I had to go headwind. Had it been tailwind, I would have cycled in one day. Yeah. In one day, I would have reached Cape Town.
Yeah.
And it was headwind, and the weather was not, and it was raining badly, and it was very, very cold. The weather was not going to change for next 2 weeks. And then.
And you rode like that?
No, I reached Agalas. It was a very tough this thing because it was crosswind. Cape Town is here. This is the southernmost tip of Africa, and I came from here, so it was crosswind. And my cycle was just going like this. I could not really cycle.
Right.
It was very, very bad. But then I could not go like this to Cape Town. It was absolute headwind. So I asked. I was staying in a backpackers hostel. I said there must be some bus going to Cape Town. He said no bus. I mean, people take India for granted. We have great, the way the facilities, public transport is in India. It's there in very few countries. Or if it is there, it is very, very expensive. So there were no train. We can't even imagine that there is no train from place A to place B.
Right.
That there is not even a bus, which is absolutely unimaginable in India. There will always be a bus. So there was no bus. There was no train from Agalas to Cape Town. And actually, when I was planning to cycle, there is a place called Hermanus. It is, the property prices are crazy. I mean, I think it is the most expensive place as far as property is concerned in South Africa, because people come for whale watching. There is a bay and whales come to birth there for the birthing.
Right.
And one of the best places to do whale watching. So I had planned that, okay, I will go to Hermanus, stay there for a day, and it's a beautiful small town, and then I will cycle to Cape Town. But then everything, I could not do anything, and then taxi was very expensive. I have to just take a taxi for myself, and those guys are bastards, they will charge. They know that this guy needs it, so they will ask exorbitant prices. So then I remembered this chap Tom, and I met him about 3 months ago.
Right.
And then I gave him a call. Hey Tom, how are you? Blah, blah. And he remembered me and he said, hey Sushant, how are you, man? Where have you reached? South Africans have their own accent. And I said, yeah, I am here in Agalas, and I was planning to come to Cape Town, but the weather is very bad now. You just can't cycle. It's no weather. I said, yes, and there is no bus and there is no this thing. Do you have any contacts here who can help me out to reach Cape Town? He said, okay, let me think. I will give you a call. Now, this is a shitty situation, now what you'll do. And then he gives a call and he said, and Cape Town is about 300 kilometers from Agalas.
Right.
So he said, where are you staying? I said, so and so backpackers. Okay, tomorrow morning I will come and pick you up.
Wow, nice.
I said, you don't have to come and pick me up. You just, if there is some friend, I will just, contact taxi guy. Well, no, you don't have to bother. I will come. So next day at around 10 o'clock, there is a big Mercedes van parked outside the hostel. And this guy turns out to be a bloody millionaire who has sold his business and enjoying his old age. And he puts my cycle and this thing, and I, like a king, I sit in the Mercedes van. And he has an old cottage in Hermanus, about 100 years old. So he takes me to, he says that on our way back, we'll stop in Hermanus. And I have an old house, family home there, and we'll stay for the night. And next day we'll go to Cape Town. So we stay at his beautiful house and had loads and loads of beer. Then he takes me on a guided tour.
Beautiful.
All along Hermanus, there is the cliff, and from there you can watch the ocean. And then we did a lot of whale watching, and then went to a nice restaurant, have lunch, and then again beer in the evening. I went off to sleep. And next day, he asked me, where are you staying in Cape Town? I told him, on this hostel. Oh, this is a shitty hostel. He told me it's very far off. You won't be able to go anywhere. So he made arrangements in some other backpacker hostel, brought me till the hostel. And he said that, when are you leaving? I said, within next 3-4 days. Well, in case you have any problem, just because airport is a little far off. He said, in case you don't get a taxi or something, because I had a cycle, just give me a call. I will come and pick you up. I mean, if someone is stuck in bloody some dead place and you ask that, okay, think how can you get out of it, or what is the best way to, even if I have to write a fantasy, I will not write this. That I will be picked up in a Mercedes van, and then I will be, staying in a very nice place in Hermanos, and then, having a free beer and lunch and a fantastic company of a guy, and, doing whale watching, and then being dropped to the backpackers hostel. This is extreme of fantasy.
Yeah.
So, but this happens, and this is the amazing thing about it. And that is why when people plan too much, whenever you plan too much, you are leaving very little space for providence to play its role.
Right.
When you have planned everything, what are you leaving for chance? Absolutely nothing. So you will get what you have planned for.
Hmm.
Okay, you want to book everything in advance, you want to see those places, you want to do that. I mean, when guys are, I'm so particular about my travel, I want to plan everything right down to the T and to the dot of I and stuff like that. Okay, then you will get that T and that I. Okay, that is all you will get.
Right.
And you will never get to meet new people, you'll never get to see fantastic places, you'll never get to have those raw experiences for which you travel.
Hmm.
Okay, traveling is not just to click photographs. You can have a Eiffel Tower on your backside, and you can
Yeah.
click a photograph. I think that, and then you want to have a fixed menu, and oh, I can't eat this, I can't. Very nice.
Right.
Okay.
Uh,
So yeah.
yeah, amazing. So that was Africa. And did you cover anything else after that?
No, so the thing is that my father was not keeping well, so I had to stay back. But now I am from this March, I'm starting. Now I have to climb Everest.
Right.
Now my original plan was to cycle across Europe, across Russia, then come down from Vladivostok to Japan, and then cycle whole of Japan, and then cycle whole of China, and then climb Everest from the Chinese side. But that is just not possible because China just gives 1 month visa, tourist visa.
Right.
And in 1 month, you can't do anything in China. Leave aside climbing Everest. So now what I'm doing is from this March, I'm, I'm cycling from Kanyakumari to Katmandu and then climbing Everest.
Wow.
So if not a continent, then at least a subcontinent.
Right.
So again, it will be a kind of, no one else has done it earlier. So from starting from Kanyakumari to Kathmandu, climbing Everest. So it will be a kind of a record in itself.
Right.
So this is what I will be doing this month.
Starting March. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How can people help you? What?
Money. So the thing is that, climbing Everest costs about 30 lakhs, all inclusive kind of a thing. And so that is the big challenge.
Right.
Rest of the peaks I can, because Kilimanjaro and stuff like that, you can do it. But now this is a big undertaking. So now that was also the purpose of coming to Bangalore. If I could meet someone who is interested in this kind of stuff or sponsorship, and so that was the main purpose.
Right.
So if somehow I can, so that is the thing. There's a documentary also being made, but then they will manage their expense. My primary aim is somehow to manage this 30 lakh. Whatever. So yeah, that is how I will do some. I am absolutely clueless, because as far as money is concerned, I'm a total donkey. I don't even know how to approach people, what to do, and I just, luckily I've been meeting nice people and who do things, give a little bit of money and stuff like that.
Right.
So let's see. So you can also request from channel that
for sure,
for like-minded people who want to if there is a company you want to sponsor or something, and so yeah.
Where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I have that my mail ID is also there, and
we'll link that in the show notes.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
But what keeps you, going hungry like this?
Yeah, I'm not at all hungry. Many people think that if life would have been very, very boring for me, because they think that I'm some kind of an adventurer, always out looking for this thing, and it will be very frustrating for me to stay at home. I love being at home.
Right.
When I am at home, I just do not move out. Me and my wife, we are extremely happy. She works and I laze around. Okay. So she's also an artist, she's a potter, so she does not have to go anywhere. So our routine is fantastic. I have a habit of waking up early in the morning. I mean, if I miss my morning somehow, the whole day will go bad. It is very, very important for me to, and I love Indian classical music. Nowadays, I just don't listen to anything else. It's just Indian classical music. So for those 2 or 3 hours in the morning of solitude is still very important for me. So my wife has the habit of waking up at around 7 or 8. That's fine. And then we have our breakfast, and then she goes to her workshop. It's in the house only, and I start reading my books and have chilled beer in the afternoon, and then even in the evening, not every day. So because when I am reading, I am in a different world, and I don't read fiction at all. I don't have a single book on fiction. And so just I mean, and my interests are extremely varied, and anything that I don't know interests me.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading. How am I? It's in my knapsack. The book is in my knapsack. I'm forgetting the name of the writer. He was suffering from PTSD and child abuse and stuff like that. Corey Richards, yeah. So one of my friends had sent me the recommendation, though I don't like the book that much, but it's still fantastic. And the Finding Infinite, David Deutsch's book, Looking for Infinity, that I'm reading. But then everything interests me. You know, I am greatly into, leave aside exploration and adventure, because that is what, there is a beautiful book by, I always recommend that book. If you want to read Eric Shipton and Bill Tillman, they were the first guys to open Nanda Devi. And then they did a lot of Everest reconnaissance expeditions initially. So you get a totally, and the way they write is so phenomenal. It's beautiful. And then I'm a lot into theoretical physics, which I never read in school, but
Interesting.
and also, I mean, when you read one of the best biographies you can read is Walter Isaacson's Einstein. So what fascinates me is the kind of life that these guys lived, what kind of creative geniuses they were, what kind of leap of imagination they took. At the end of the day, it is our imagination that is holding us back. If we can't imagine great things, we can't do great things.
Right.
You know, and we should not always be looking for precedence. So when you read anything of this sort, and because my wife is a potter, she's an artist, so I have lots of artist friends or house. I mean that because I'm a lot into classical music. So every month we organize a bathak. We are trying to revive those old age traditions. You know, earlier they हमेशा घरों में बैठक होती थी. You used to call an artist and then everyone used to gather around, and then so it has its own charm. Rather than going to a concert and listening in an auditorium, which is a very impersonal experience, it's artist is sitting like that. There's a tanpura playing, there's a harmonium playing, there's a tabla playing, and he's singing, or a sitar. It's a very different kind of experience. I don't have to do that, but then I think it is everyone's responsibility to. This is what makes us distinct. It is our culture. It is our music. It is our dance. It is our philosophy. It's not the T-shirt I am wearing or how am I looking. Okay, they will. You can when they see us, they will see that they will say that we are Indians. But what makes us Indians? It's not how we look, but and these are such vast things. You know, I mean, sometimes I think that we are very, very poor inheritors of our illustrious predecessors, what they have done and the kind of music that they have, kind of philosophy we had, architecture. I mean, look at what architecture we have, temple architecture. It's nowhere.
Yeah.
We go gaga over Colosseum. What is bloody Colosseum? It's not, I mean, I'm not trying to put it, but what is it? I mean, can you compare it with the big temple, which is there in, or the temples in Madurai, or Mahabalipuram, or Khajuraho, or Kailash? I mean, I have gone everywhere. I've seen a lot of things as well, but you just can't compare it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm a lot into theoretical physics. I love architecture, so I read a lot about architecture, about ancient Indian architecture. I'm a lot into biographies and autobiographies because such people fascinate me. From Rabindranath, beautiful autobiography of Rabindranath Tagore to a lot of scientists, Paul Dirac, Einstein. I'm just forgetting the name now. So I keep on reading. Politics also interests me, and philosophy also interests me. Most of the time I'm reading it, Vivekananda or rest of such philosophy. But then you start correlating things. So my travel is not just to do things. It is just to be alone, to see new cultures, to understand things, and whatever I have read in the books about philosophy, to somehow translate them into real experiences. So that is what the aim is.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, Sushant. It has been an absolute.
No, don't end it here.
No.
There is one more thing that I want to talk about which I was apologizing earlier also.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And this is what I want to say. So what happens is that, I saw the interview, few interviews which you took, and the tours that you do, and so when you do it, a group has its advantages, a lot of advantages, especially for a novice, and especially when you're living in a city like Mumbai or Bangalore. It's not safe for cycling. But the thing is, then it becomes too structured. Before you start cycling, you are too much into what cassette set. I still don't know what a bloody cassette set is. Okay.
Right.
I just start cycling. I really do not know. Whatever I get, I start cycling. I have never worn cleats.
Right.
I don't know what cleats are. I never wear helmet. I never worn helmet in my life. In India, I will wear it because ठीक है, it does not look whatever it is. My wife will also say she's around only, so I will wear a helmet. That's all. So I mean, there are so many preparations required even for a 100-kilometer ride. यहाँ तेल लगाओ, वहाँ तेल लगाओ, ऊपर तेल लगाओ, नीचे तेल लगाओ, आगे तेल लगाओ, पीछे तेल लगाओ, आगे आपने आगे भी लाइट, पीछे भी लाइट. आई एम सेइंग इट्स फाइन, आई एम नॉट, बट देन आई मीन इट हैज बिकम लाइक रिलीजन कि आपको ऐसे भी पूजा करनी. एवरीथिंग बिकम्स अ रिलीजन देन, दैट यू हैव टू फॉलो ऑल दिस प्रोसीजर्स, देन ओनली यू विल डू इट. बट द बेसिक एक्ट ऑफ साइक्लिंग इज वेरी सिंपल. And then, like religion, you are constrained by all these things. Then you feel, oh fuck man, I don't have the front light functional, back light functional, I'm not wearing a helmet. You know, it's more than 100 kilometers, calorific requirement and all that kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, it is good, but then don't take it to extreme. Had
No,
I been...
when we started, we have to always remember when and how we started, right?
No, it's not about you. I'm talking about other groups as well.
But in general, right? When if anyone, no one would start out as a kind of pro or whatever, all these things that you were talking about, you know, nothing. You would have, like in my case, I started on a Hero Hawk.
Yeah.
Just
same here. School, I used to go Hero Hawk, 5-gear cycle. On that danda, there used to be gear.
Right.
It used to be fantastic bloody cycle.
Yeah, just go and explore. The idea was exploring new place. Oh, that place is there, you know, that temple there. We'll go and come back on this Sunday. And oh, this today we will go and you know, explore that. That's how we started.
Yeah,
like you were saying, nowadays you say we'll have a plan, you'll have a you know, everything is like too regimented,
and you know, then you put a limit on yourself, you know, in a group, because your limits are decided by rest of the people who have done it, who may be legends as well. But you really do not know how far you can push. You see, so that is the worst, I mean, the bad part. You may want to do things differently, and I always, many people have offered me, you go to this country, someone living in Canada or America or Africa, that I really want to cycle with you, and okay, for a few kilometers is all, but I just don't like company, and I personally think it is extremely unsafe to travel when two cyclists are cycling together. That is the worst thing that they can do, in my opinion.
Why do you think so?
Yeah, because they are busy in conversation. In cycling, what saves you, it's not helmet. It's just you think that helmet saves you or something else. Being aware. I never listen to music. Never ever. I never talk to anyone when I'm cycling. Because it is only your senses that will save you.
Right.
You have to be extremely aware when you are cycling. You can't indulge in useless conversations, or you can have conversation when you're sitting somewhere else. And you will be the one who will pay the price. That biker or the trucker who is coming behind you, he will just fuck off, and it will not even dent. No one will have any proof that he has support someone. So I never, and what I do is, because I only wear gloves, because what I think, both my ankles had ligament tear, so my ankle twist just very easily. So I always wear gloves, because if you fall, this is the first thing that touches the ground, and if your palm is gone, you can't cycle, and especially on a drop down this thing. So I always wear gloves because it protects my palm, and I always wear boots, hiking boots. I don't even wear sneakers while cycling. I wear boots because that is the most vulnerable thing for me.
Right.
It weighs a lot, but that's fine with me. Even in the peak of summers, I do that. So the thing is that, and then, you know, that's what I was saying with curated experiences. When you go alone, one should, you know, the thing is, we are too much into networking and meeting people and this and that. The most important people you need to network with is your own self.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And there is no better way than cycling or running for that.
Yeah.
It is the most beautiful thing. And I find cycling especially so fascinating because it is just silent. Just silently, you are moving at a fast pace, alone in your thoughts, and looking around and traveling long distances, stopping wherever you want to stop and having a conversation with yourself. And the thing is, you can take something to eat along as well. Running, you can't go too far, you know, you can't carry too much of water or food, but you easily go on a 12-hour ride on your own, just in a pannier, have some little food, water, and then you are on your own.
Yeah.
And it is so important for everyone, because I was discussing this with someone else. The thing is, for bad things, you have to prepare when you are in a good situation. You know, you can't think when you're faced with a bad situation, what you should do.
Hmm.
It is like martial arts.
Hmm.
You keep on practicing different moves, kicks and punches,
Hmm.
so that when the encounter happens, when you are in front of it, you are not starting thinking, fuck, I should punch him or kick him. What should it is just reflex.
Hmm.
So when you start thinking about problems in life, when we are, I'm touching 50, all of us are in the same stage, and in personal relation, in professional relations, and a lot of things that happen in our general when we're meeting people. So it is what we are, that translates into our conversation, and what we are when we are sitting silently, and when we are mulling what we should be doing and what should not be doing, giving reading books and reading others' experiences and doing things, and then when that becomes part of us, then we become better.
True. Hmm.
A chit chat you can always have, in a bar also you can have a chit chat.
Hmm.
So there are two major drawbacks. First of all, I find that your limitations are set in the group, that you can only do this much. You are looking for comfort becomes a priority.
Hmm.
And then too much of preparation. Too much of preparation. I mean, what is there in a bloody cycle? What can go wrong? I mean, I have traveled 25,000 kilometers in remotest part of the world with a very basic cycle. Deliverable can go wrong, it's okay, but you can still cycle. Not that you cannot change gears, it's all right.
Yeah.
But still you can do some jugaad and it will work. That is the worst thing that can happen. Chain can break. Okay, you can make it repair. You can repair a chain. Puncture, so you should know how to repair a puncture. What else will happen? What can happen in a cycle? For that, you have a backup vehicle going along. It's okay. I mean, people are paying the price. They are paying for it. It's okay. They are going for an experience. But then, I have lived that part. With like in New Zealand or Australia, I was playing a little safe. I did not know. In Africa, I mean, I was just on my own element. I used to camp every night. Then I, did different things, and I have so many plans now to do things. So we have to outgrow things. We have to live for new experiences.
True.
And new experiences are within us. And the worst thing, again, one of the bad things that people say, that your network is your net worth. Always networking. If you are worthless, your network will not help. Okay, your net worth will create your network. So it is most important to work on ourselves. If you are a good cyclist, you are doing amazing things, people will come and connect with you. If you are good at your job, you are good at writing, you are good at... In advertising industry, there are a lot of quirky characters who no one will tolerate. But just because they are good at what they do, they can come up with one-liners, so they have a lot of value. So by distributing cards and, LinkedIn profile and blah, blah, nothing will happen if you are useless.
Right.
So we need to work. And I think such physical pursuits, solitary physical pursuits are next to meditation. It's very difficult to meditate, but if you're not able to meditate, go for a run, go for solo cycle rides. And don't make anything a religion that you can't do. You can go on a Dudwala cycle, Atlas Gold Line Super.
Yeah.
It is super cycle.
Yeah.
So it does not take away any pleasure.
Yeah.
But that solitude is very much required. And these are the means to achieve that. In today, even in Bangalore, you can achieve solitude with a solo cycle ride in the morning. So that is very important.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been, we can, with your experiences, we can go on for another couple of hours also. But let us circle back and connect after your, Mount Everest thing. For sure. And thank you really to, for taking the time and sharing your experiences with the working.
Oh, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. I always looking for such conversation, because this is a big part of my life, and there are very few people with whom you can have in the podcasting circle with whom you can have such a conversation. So I really wanted to, have a conversation in this aspect, in this regard. And all those who think that you can contribute, do help me.
For sure. Yeah. We'll link to your profile in Instagram and all that in the show notes, so that people can reach out.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
That was my conversation with Major Sushant. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continued support. See you next week with another guest.